On the one hand, you work for Viktor Sams. Viktor Sams is a ruthless killer.
And the other?
I just don't like you.
What is up, NerdTectives? Welcome to another episode, Nerds at Night. I am your host, Blake Money Blake Weather, the world's most okayest detective. Your words, not mine. And I'm living my best Coatsworth life right here. I'm in my Rufus era, and we are talking all about...
Details matter.
We're on episode 8 entitled... If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been tuning in week by week, you know the drill. We're going to do our recap, get into what we got right from last week, get into some fan comments, and shouts to y'all because y'all are just outdoing yourselves week by week. So I really appreciate all of y'all. Then we're going to go over rules for solving a murder mystery. And we're going to pay attention to one in particular because it really applies to how this show ended this week. And then per usual, we'll get right into our theory and suspect board. So let's get right into the recap. We kicked this episode off by going a bit into the past and seeing people's different viewpoints shortly before the blackout. We find out Teddy and Llewellyn had a bit of a therapy sesh, and Llewellyn admits he's not in the business of offing himself. He plans to stay around for a very long time and surviving for as long as he can. All that to say, we see Llewellyn jump off the ship to his death, and we find out Teddy and Hildy are sort of Eskimo sisters in a way. Teddy also discovers that the backup generators have been hacked. They're out, and she finds the wine bottle cork has a small puncture hole in it, indicating Llewellyn was poisoned before he jumped. Now, did he know this before he jumped? Because now this all seems kind of sus. Teddy also teams up with Rufus and Hildy and finds out from one of the servers that it was Catherine who ordered the bottle of wine to be sent to Llewellyn's room. But was it Catherine that poisoned the bottle? Teddy says that they found ricin in Catherine's room, so for now, all the signs point to Catherine as being a murderer. And once Layla hears this, she's now very convinced that Catherine is Viktor Sams. Jules breaks out of his cell from a secret key given to him by Imogene. He gets into a bit of a tussle with one of his security homies, and then he ends up meeting up with Sunel and Teddy. Teddy and Jules end up freeing Sunel, and they end up Scooby-Dooing around trying to look for clues about Llewellyn's death. What they end up finding is a missing boat and a bomb with a 60-minute timer that has yet to be started. In the big dining area, Grandma Chun reveals she's not picking Anna as the CEO of Collier Mills, and also reveals that Anna is actually the daughter of Catherine and Llewellyn. And we find out Father Toby was the one who snitched about that. Imogene approaches Grandma Chun with the info that she knows that she was the whistleblower who her mom reached out to, which basically gets us all caught up in a loop with where the last episode left off from. We see this beautiful story about how Celia Chun met her husband in a factory and got married, started a family. This all goes south when Collier Mills takes over the factory, ends up using caption blue as an ingredient in their products. We find out that that is the reason why Celia Chun's husband got poisoned and died. Celia accepts payoff money for her husband's death and begins her quest against the Colliers to avenge her husband's death. Imogene confronts Lawrence Collier as the man who killed her mother, but we soon discover that Lawrence actually has early onset dementia, and he thinks Imogene is actually Kira. Imogene is able to get what appears to be a confession out of him. The victory is bittersweet as Imogene realizes she will get no justice from Lawrence being convicted because he's not even in his right mind to do time for the crime. And this moment, however, is broken up by the reveal that Catherine is found dead by Anna, and the helicopter that just landed is full of Viktor Sams' men who've now taken control over the ship. That is a lot to squeeze in, but this was a very juicy episode. And there was a lot of moving pieces, and I want to talk about one that we got correct. This past weekend, I released a video that had my top 5 theories that could happen in the next 3 episodes. One of the theories that I mentioned was this. She's cheating on her husband now. What if she's been cheating on her husband before? In this theory, that could make sense that Imogene is sort of this affair child, and Kira being, the assistant for the Colliers, they're like, hey, we need you to, raise her because it's sort of Scandi over here and we can't deal with that. That would be interesting. That's a big secret. Is that a big enough secret to blackmail someone over? Now, we know Catherine didn't end up being Imogene's mom, but on the whole, we were super right about her being unfaithful in her marriage and having a kid that wasn't Lawrence's. So when I saw it was Anna, I was like,
hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I admit I didn't guess that the baby daddy was Llewellyn. So that part, that y'all got me. Congratulations, show. You got me. Again, this is why I'm the world's most okayest detective. I'm gonna get some things right and some other things is like, Meh. Let's hop right into our fan comments, though, because I know y'all had a lot to say after last week's episode. Our first comment comes in from Galen Frozy. While chasing herself, she went through the truck that was on the scene when her mom's car blew up, with or without her mom inside it. I thought that was interesting. Has she been in that truck? As a side note, if you're interested in what happens when a company is responsible for a public health disaster and then is sold, check out the Union Carbide Dow merger. Yeah, I love this comment because I did talk about it in my theories video shortly after. This was one of the things that sort of inspired me to throw that theory on there. And the theory was maybe perhaps, Hildy is Kira and got away in the truck that's like fleeing the scene and that's parked there on the Collier's property. So yeah, there still might be something to that truck though. So I love that thought. And also I'm going to check out that Union Carbide Dow merger whole situation because yeah, I'd love to know what happens when a company's bought and still has some like legal drama. Our next comment comes in from Basquiat76. Shout outs to you, man. I love all the comments that you're throwing in there. I think Miss Collier killed Imogene's mom. She somehow found out Imogene's mom were trying to bring them down, so she did what she had to do to protect her family. Maybe the priest is the polo player. Who else could it be? And then they've been seeing each other all this time, and through her, he gets a lot of information that helps him be this kingmaker. Maybe. They focus a lot on the hidden drawer, so surely there's some evidence in that drawer. Maybe another journey back to her memory. We'll find out. And they do suggest Coatsworth and Imogene's mom on the stairs. That's maybe her father and is out of the picture because he's a poker hustler and con artist. Could be why he insisted on taking the case and refuses to let it go. Yeah, man. Well, we did find out more or less. I love this. I love this theory, though. We did find out more or less Lawrence was probably responsible more so than Catherine. At least that's what we've been told. And then we found out Catherine had an affair with Llewellyn. So maybe not quite as early on did she have an affair with the priest, but I do love the thought there. They do focus a lot on that hidden drawer. So I was thinking that's what sort of led me to, again, y'all go check out the theory video, why, Catherine may have had relations with the polo player and maybe why that was Imogene's dad. This, again, just theories, but just making us think because the show is definitely going in a lot of different routes. And still, we don't know who Imogene's father is. And it still could, it could be Coatsworth. The way the show goes, it could be Coatsworth. Who knows? And it could be that could be why in her vision, she saw, Coatsworth putting a necklace on her mom, like on the stairs. So I don't know. That is still valid, though. Anything goes. We've got 2 more episodes. Let's see what happens. Our next comment comes from Amia Ahmed, 7505. Theory, Kira is alive. So if you look real close, you'll see that Kira is played by the same actress that plays Agent Hildy. Yeah, I know, like on IMDb, like she's getting acting credits for like all 10 episodes. She's not in all 10 episodes. Is that the show sort of trying to throw us off? It's a great thought because it is like the whole big theory. And I did talk about it again. Go check out that theory video. I keep referencing it. But the hot, internet theory that Kira is Hildy still could be a thing. Who knows? But yeah, I love that. It's a great catch. Our next comment comes in from IC Rockets. After this episode, I saw a screen grab on Reddit of the bar at the beginning of episode 1. Moments before Winnie spilled the drink on Danny, it zoomed in on a specific woman with blonde hair, a hat pulled down far enough that we can't see her whole face, and what happens to be a blue wristband. What if Danny, who never forgets a face, had to die because he recognized her as Kira Scott? He was murdered. Kira was driven off the ship using the boat Sunel and Imogene used to get the Ukrainians to safety, and then she choppered back as an Interpol agent. This all really fits in with the theory, right? That like Hildy is Kira, Kira is Hildy. I'm again still not opposed to it. Like that still could be the case. Maybe Lawrence did think that he killed Kira and she's still alive. My whole thought process with this though is like, bro, you really not gonna recognize somebody just because they got blonde hair, like striking features, something, bro, something like unless like in the show, like Hildy got some plastic surgery and everybody. But like, if we can see it, how come they can't see it on the show? Like, really? Like that's my only problem with that. They could still do it and it could still be a thing. This absolutely makes sense. She was there, left, came back, that could absolutely work out. But just, like, bro, that's kind of a big plot hole. But that's not on you, I see Rockets. That's on the show writers. So I think this theory could absolutely be a thing. Another comment coming in from 117 Derek from the last episode. I'm now thinking that Rufus pulled a fake on us. He really is a good detective by telling Imogene in the prior episode that he was a fake. It caused her to willingly take the lead. This led to her finally overcoming her repressed memory that Rufus had been trying to get her to overcome since he first met her. As for the suspects, everything is pointing to Celia Chun as the master manipulator. But is it only to destroy the Colliers? Celia and Imogene are now definitely aligned against the Colliers, just as Celia was with Imogene's mom. Is this part of Celia's plan? Has Rufus lied again and is still working for the Chuns against the Colliers? And I don't believe Celia is Viktor Sams and responsible for the murders of Danny and the governor. I still think the murders are separate from the Celia Chun revenge plot against the Colliers. Somebody else had pointed out, like, what if all the murders were all separate? What if everything was sort of separate? What if there's this through line with Viktor Sams and then there's this through line with like various murders, including Danny? What if it's like two different things and they just happen to be paired up, and they're running in parallel with each other? They don't ever cross. It could absolutely be a thing. I did like the theory very early on, right? That like Imogene's mom's death was not related to all this, or Danny's death was not related to all this and everything. Like one of these deaths is not like the other. It's either Danny, it's either Imogene's mom. It could very well be all of them. And I also do like that Rufus is sort of smarter than we give him credit for. Like he was able to walk Imogene through her mind and help her retrieve this memory that she had blocked out in order to try and proceed further in the case. So yeah, he might just be like low key, like just pretending to be dumb and then be this like genius this whole time. But that's also what con artists do. Like they'll con you, like they'll con you. He conned her out of her own memory too, so like I'm not trying to not give him credit, but I'm just saying, like he had that skill in him the whole time. I'm glad he was able to use it though for good purposes though. Our last comment comes in from Blue Penguin 2955. During the interviews, Llewellyn says twice, quite pointedly, Viktor Sams is not blackmailing Lawrence Collier. Instead of going deeper, Imogene turns the subject back to the fact that Rufus hadn't given up the investigation, but it sheds light that Viktor Sams was blackmailing someone, maybe Miss Collier or even Llewellyn himself, or maybe Kira Scott. Yeah, I talked about this. I love this one, and I think this was part of the theory that I had where Lawrence wasn't being blackmailed. It was Catherine. In my opinion, it was Catherine. In my theory, it was Catherine. That's who he was taking money from. Was it a personal issue? Was it a bigger issue? I don't really know. But it does make sense that he's like, Lawrence doesn't pay blackmail money. You're not listening to me. You can see that whole thing play out in the theory episode. I'll link it at the end of this episode if you guys want to check it out, or you can just go through Nerds at Night. But I do like slightly in a shade or two agree very much with Catherine Collier being somebody who is potentially blackmailed. So I do very much love this. Blue Penguin, thank you so much. And I do love those comments. Let's keep them flowing. I really appreciate all of y'all for just taking some time, writing a comment, and us getting a little community together. It's so great. We've got it's sad because we got just like one more week left, but I want to hear from all of y'all about all y'all's thoughts after this week and after next week for sure. But for now, let us get into our final time of going over the rules for solving a murder mystery. And let's really give these some thought as we head into our final 2 episodes. What are our rules though for solving a murder mystery? Rule number 1, you have to have suspects. Rule number 2, you have to have clues. Rule number 3, you got to have motivation. Rule number 4, you got to have opportunity. And always bonus rule number 5, red herrings. And let's keep those in mind as we go through our suspect and theory board one last time. All right, let's start from the bottom per usual. Let's go to Teddy. Teddy's still staying in no way. Llewellyn, it's kind of sus because he said he wouldn't off himself, but he ends up offing himself. He was poisoned. Did he know he was poisoned? Is that why he offed himself? Because he didn't want to die from poison? How would he know he was dying from poison? Like, is there a pee test or something? Like, is there a blood test he took? Did he just know that, like, he's like, oh, my baby, I got ricin in me? I don't know. Like, I know he's not in the show no more. I just want to throw him in here just for safekeeping. There's just something off about all. Did somebody tell him like, man, you're poisoned? And he's like, oh, I'm going to off myself. I'm not going out like this. So I don't know. So we're going to move him up. Jules is still staying down here. Trip is still staying down here. Layla, I'm going to move to maybe. I'm going to move her to maybe because there's something interesting about the fact that the boat was moved in that area where it was where we've seen a small number of people there. We know that Jules knows about that area. We know Sanel knows about that area. Imogene, we know Coatsworth, we know Layla knows about that area. And she walking all around the boat doing all kind of things. Did she have something to do with the boat disappearing? Did she have something to do with the bombs that they found? It's interesting because to me, she strikes me as somebody who's been too paranoid. Viktor Sams is coming after her. What if it's all an act? That'd be crazy, right? And also, too, where's her little bag of goodies? Wouldn't she pack in like a rope or something, or like and a knife? Where's all this survival kit at? Is that gonna come into play? Like, oh, she's really a good guy and she's going to use all these items in her survival kit to try and fight off, or, give them to people to try to fight off these Viktor Sams goons? Or is it for something that's more nefarious? I don't know. I think that there's something that we don't know about her. So she's going a little bit up on the suspect board this week. That's sort of my theory, my starter theory for this week. And again, I could be all wrong about that theory. And it could just be that like that Derek somehow got down to the bottom of the ship, took off in the boat, went to go try and find help on land. And that, again, that survival kit comes into play. She's got a knife, you can stab Viktor Sams, bad guys, whatever. You can fight off some people. So I don't know. We'll see how that all pans out. Like I said, Tripp is still here. Anna's still here. The governor's very much still here. Probably not. We've still got Coatsworth, that Derek. Again, we moved up Llewellyn here. Sanel. Man, if you guys missed out again on my top 5 theory, I'm just going to get into it briefly. I'm going to move Sanel up to highly suspicious. I talked about him in that video, maybe being Viktor Sams. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that, like, are we through with all the suspicions about him? It seemed a little interesting when he was threatening Coatsworth while being tied up. Like, he also, too, was like trying to come at Rufus, like, oh, well, you messed up, right? You messed up in Imogene's life. And Coatsworth's like, well, I'm not going to do that again. But just for the fact that the audacity, bro, you tied up. Bro, I got you. I could just put tape over your mouth. Like, shut up, bro. You have no power in this. He's talking like somebody with a lot of power, and he's got no power. It's like, only somebody, maybe he's Viktor Sams, bro. And maybe he knows the whole time, like, even though you got me tied up, like, things are in motion. You're not going to stop what's happening. It's coming toward you. So I'm moving him up to highly suspicious. I don't think I have enough evidence to move him as top suspect, but he's in that realm. There he goes. And we got Imogene and probably not. And maybe I'm still going to leave Hildy here. She could still end up being Kira. Nothing could happen. But do we know all the facts about it? Are they going to go into her backstory before she got on the boat? Like, we don't really know about all that. But also, she got knocked out at the end of this episode. So, like, maybe she's just like as much of a victim as everybody else is. Obviously, we know why Layla's here. Again, just a lot of question marks around her. And she's just trying to hang low under the radar and like walk people through and tell people, hey, this what's going on. And like to point the finger to immediately think that Catherine is Viktor Sams. I don't think that that's the case. And that leads me to the highly suspicious list, where we know that Lawrence, we left him here for a good reason, right? As far as we know, he killed Imogene's mom. He also has like dementia or whatever. So like, is it true? Did he do some action items that led to Imogene's mom, being exploded? Did he really do it? He's going to stay there because we just need a few more things to confirm that. We can definitely take him for his word, but he's there, man. So somehow or another, he did something bad. He's staying there, which leads me to the next point of Catherine, right? Layla had said, oh, well, Catherine is Viktor Sams, but like Catherine's dead. And also too, for Teddy and them to find Ryson in Catherine's room, and then for them to be like, oh, Catherine was the one who ordered this bottle. Maybe she did, but how's she gonna make it down there and put poison in the wine? It's awfully suspicious that they found Ryson in her room. They found Ryson somewhere in there. This is why I was saying one of our rules of solving a murder mystery really comes into play. It's the red herring, right? It's the person who's the fall guy. I think a lot of people use the term fall guy. Bro, we're going to have to use some murder mystery terms because we're going through a murder mystery right now. The murder mystery term is a red herring. Somebody who very much looks the part, could be the part. They walk like a duck. They talk like a duck. However, they're not the duck. Somebody else is the duck. It's duck, duck, goose, right? And they not the goose. Somebody else's mother goose over here. And I don't know who it is. With that in mind, she looks like she's the fall guy at this point. Everybody's going to point the finger at her. while somebody else is moving along in the shadows. Who could that be? I don't think any more Celia. I think we're done with the whole Celia Chun thing. I'm going to move her down into probably not. I think we've gone through as much of the thread as we're going to go through with her. We found out a lot. We found out what her motivation is. She's just out to take the Colliers out, and that's absolutely fine. Like, they really messed with her family. They really messed with her life, and she just wants to get a little revenge, and that's absolutely fine. So now, again, we know why he's here. This fool could be Viktor Sams, which leads me to the top suspects. We know that Winnie is not Viktor Sams, so we're going to move her down to highly suspicious. There's no way. This leaves Eleanor and Father Toby. Let's think about this for a second. Viktor Sams has been this whole operation, this whole person, or this whole organization, this whole something that has at least been around for XYZ number of years, where somebody who had to have been a little bit older when Emma Jean was a kid had to have been able to pull strings or be part of that operation. This really fits two people. We have Sanel and Father Toby left. One of them, too, is absolutely Viktor Sams, or Eleanor is somehow part of it. She's like got this, like she got in the organization. It was already moving parts, and that still leaves Father Toby or Sanel that was there before her. And it's got to be one of those. It's got to be one of those three. If I had to lay money down on one of the two, again, it's going to be either Father Toby or Sanel. My lower guess would be Eleanor. And I'm going to say this too. I did end up reading some articles that talked about like how, well, that marks all the people off that could be Viktor Sams. I guess it's going to be somebody that has yet to be revealed. No, that's not how murder mysteries work. The way that murder mysteries work is you're given all of the clues, all of the suspects. You're trying to narrow down with all the clues who the ultimate suspect could be. And so with that in mind, just like Rufus told us right here.
You have a theory, reader, as to the identity of Viktor Sams. Here is a hint. He was already there, hiding among us.
We've already met the murderer. We already know who they are somehow, some way. We're not calling them, hey, Mr. Viktor Sams murderer. We don't know that about them, but we have already seen them. We've already been introduced to them somehow, some way. This isn't a James Bond spy flick where, the bad guy, he's in the shadows and we never see his face. And then he's finally revealed and we're like, oh, I'm not going to guess that because I don't even know who you are, but that's crazy. You're a scary bad guy. No, it's definitely somebody. It's somebody on this list. It's somebody that we've already met. And to think otherwise does not fit the criteria of what this show ultimately is. And it also does not fit the criteria of what a murder mystery is. There are certain rules that a murder mystery follows. And one of those rules, again, is we're introduced to all of the characters and one of them is the killer. So somebody on this board right here is the killer. I don't know who it is. Again, you know who my top suspects are. You know who people who are on my highly suspicious list are, but I want to hear from you. How does the board line up with who your top suspects are? Who do you think is still highly suspicious? Who do you think Viktor Sams is? Do we believe Lawrence? Do we believe Llewellyn just, happened to kill himself and didn't know he was poisoned? Like, what is going? Do we actually believe Catherine is Viktor Sams and she just got ricin and she's carrying ricin? Like that it just seems like we still have a lot more questions. I'm really hoping the show sticks to landing without having a whole bunch of major plot holes, because that actually could be a thing. I'm a little nervous about it, but hey, like if they think they got it under control, I'm a ride it out with them. So I look forward to seeing how they all wrap this up. I look forward to 2 episodes in one night. Like let's go. Let's go. That's so much fun. I'm not looking forward to only having one more episode left with all of y'all. This has been an awesome time and an awesome ride. And we're just building an awesome community here, just talking, having comments. So I'm definitely going to miss that aspect about it. But in the meantime, I want to hear from all y'all. What are your thoughts on this episode? Who do you think is Viktor Sams? What do you believe? What do you don't believe? Always hit me with all of your crazy theories or some of the most sane ones that you have. I'm open to anything as we got one more week before all is revealed. So with all that out of the way, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode with me. All the views, all the shares, thank y'all so much. Again, it makes it so much fun coming back to doing this week by week and hearing from all of y'all. So I really appreciate that. Again, if you can't get enough murder mysteries in the meantime, feel free to go through Nerds at Night. I've broken down a whole bunch of murder mysteries, and I've got a few more murder mystery reviews on the way. And if you guys want to reach out to me personally with some of your crazy theories, just talk about anything murder mystery related, you can reach out to me, Money Blake Weather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I'm on all the places. Wherever you're at, that's where I'm at. So reach out to me. Let's chat. Love to hear from y'all. In the meantime, though, y'all stay safe. Let me know any clues that you find. And whether you're watching this right now, morning, evening, afternoon, I always appreciate you. And until the next time, and until next week's duel episode, I will see you. Peace.